We're here at the Sonny Bono Salton Sea National Wildlife Refuge. I'll get in here close and allow you to read this. Pause the video as needed. Okay, we'll take the walk through. I'll get in a little closer for you to read this. Got some shadowing on this, so it's a little difficult for you. As you can see, there's hardly anybody here. The few people that we've seen are all masked up and give you a wide berth as they walk around you. The government has done a good job of putting fear in them. So we're up on a platform here and looking out. It's a 1 mile walk all the way around, and I'm not sure exactly what all it encompasses, but the trail starts right over here and probably encompasses this field here. So you can see some small birds down there. Before I started the video here, I saw a bunch of quail go across and into the bush. Oh, there's some quail under there. They're still moving around. Okay, so we're going to go take the walk and see what there is. If you haven't figured out, this is a bird sanctuary area. I can see a body of water out here. And then further on, I can see the Salton Sea. Okay, here we go. This gives you a map of the area that we're going to be looking at. And we had spotted some snow geese. Well, there's sandhill cranes and there's snow geese out here. And I'm being told what these are, but I can't hear what she's saying, so I'm going to get closer to her. Well, she walked into doing someplace else, looking at something, but I believe she said those were snow geese. So this green tree here is a Mexican Palo Verde. Got a little placard here. See the quail in the distance. Nice tribute to Sonny Bono. Let you read what that is, that tree that I was just looking at. So we were looking at the quail. If you notice, there's some dove mixed in with them as well. Okay, we just missed it. There was a very small, what looked like a brush rabbit. It could be one of those black-tailed hares. We can see some birds right there. Yeah, I didn't get the video up fast enough for that one. So here at the bird sanctuary, oh, there goes a dove. That's not a dove. What is that? I can't tell. It's not a dove though. So here at the bird sanctuary, not only is there a lot of birds to seek out and find, but a lot of different plants, trees, and we're just observing the different ones. And it's basically this area set aside just for these birds, right in the middle of a large agricultural area. So we need to farm our lands. We definitely need to do that. At the same time, we need to preserve areas just for our wildlife friends. There's some moss growing in that tree. So it's been a nice little walk. We got a little ways to go to the end, but Claudia's telling us something. So what is it you're telling us?
Fifth wheel. See that building to the left?
Yes, there's a fifth wheel trailer out there. This is the bird sanctuary. We want to focus on birds and the environment, and so let's see what we've got here. She's got the bug for fifth wheels now. Try to get some shading here. Okay, that gave you a chance to read that.
That's right.
Looking at more of the foliage and come across this sign here. A person put it up and apparently they had nothing to say.
Oh, it says native habitat something.
Actually, it does say something underneath that paint. It's hard to read.
I think it's faded.
And Claudia is going to read this for us.
Sure. Native desert habitat. That's all I got. It's all cracked and arid, looking like the ground.
Yeah. Although the ground is soft, kind of a sandy soil. But yeah, it's still desert that's been reclaimed, obviously. So this is a nice field that they've set up for the birds, and they put up a sign here: birds only beyond this point. And so we're going to work our way back to the trail here. I'm walking along looking at the foliage, and it'd be so easy for an animal to be hiding in these areas, maybe laying down, staying out of the heat of the day. Of course, today it's only 60 degrees. But you know, there could be a fox in there, or a coyote, or a puma. Even pumas are in this area. Appears to me that we are headed over there to that hill, which they call a mountain. It's not much of a mountain. So we've come across a pumping station here on our trail, and you can see the aqueduct here. The water is rushing in from those pumps over there. So they're pulling water out of here, and since it looks like it's going up, must be headed off into that direction. So the Colorado River, they use that water for all of this Imperial Valley farming. And as you have read, and maybe you already knew, how the Salton Sea was flooded by one of their canals that went bad. Anyway, a lot of that Colorado water ends up here for these fields. And if you follow the Colorado River out, it takes you to the Gulf of California. And the riverbed is dried up. It's because we're taking all the water and it's never reaching the ocean, you know, like it should. So just as I expected, it's a lift pump, lifting the water up into these little higher elevations. So that's a good amount of water they're pumping 24 hours a day. And this is not the only pumping station they have. That canal over there is called the Pumice Drain. This one over here I don't see a sign for, but there's Rock Hill Trail, and they're calling that hill over there the Rock Hill. So we're going to continue on with our walk that way. So they've set up some nice ponds with little islands in there for the birds. And photographers come out here to get some good shots. Still headed over to that hill over there. Some more of the wildlife area here. And I don't know how far it extends, but the Salton Sea, you can just see a part of the body of water there. I think all of that is probably part of the reserve. We get a walk just a little bit of it. So we're just having a discussion and looking at these ducks out here. And pretty much everybody recognizes the fact that there's a reason they're called ducks. If you notice, they keep ducking their head underwater. Of course, I was challenged on that theory, so that'll give you folks something to look up. Okay, so there's our little pond for the ducks. And we just got past some foliage, and you can see the Salton Sea out there, starting right there and working your way across. And that body of water is clear over there. So the Salton Sea, from what I read, is about 100 miles of shoreline. And if you compare that to our lake there at Lake County, California, Clear Lake has 105 miles of shoreline. Now the difference is that Clear Lake has a lot of peninsulas and jetting in and out, and so you measure all of that distance. In reality, I think we'll find that the Salton Sea is a much bigger body of water than Clear Lake. Now, with that said, keep in mind that Clear Lake is the largest natural lake wholly in California. So they don't count Lake Tahoe since it's split with Nevada. And they can't count the Salton Sea, even though it's a lake. It was flooded by a canal, so it's not a total natural lake. So I just found the placard here for the little lake that we were just looking at with the islands. And they provided those islands as a safe haven here for the birds and their babies. Keep them safe from the coyotes, raccoons, snakes, rodents. Over here is another pond that's all dried up. I see a lot of white in the bottom, and I'm just wondering whether this is pumped in from the Salton Sea for the saltwater birds. And it could be. We're going to find out. There's a little hut over there with another placard. So I did not find any information about this dry pond. I did see where they had a pipe which would limit the height of the water. So it's kind of like this pipe here. It would do the same thing for this area. But we did come across the placard talking about the geothermal activity here. It's going to be really hard to see that here, so perhaps we can invoke some help reading this.
Sonny, Bono, Salton Sea National Wildlife Refuge, a hotbed of activity. There is a lot going on under the surface here. Far below your feet, hot molten rock or magma produces vast amounts of heat. When hot magma bubbles to the surface, it can create volcanoes. Rock Hill was the result of such volcanic activity. At 8,000 feet below, about a mile and a half, temperatures can reach more than 680 degrees Fahrenheit. The geothermal plants you see in the area tap this heat to produce electricity.
So we were seeing some of these geothermal plants on the way in, and I had commented that it reminded me of the nuclear power plants that I've seen, the way they have cooling towers. So how do geothermal plants work? Well, geothermal plants drill deep wells from which hot fluid or brine is pumped. Some of this brine is flashed into steam, which turns the turbines that produce electricity. The remaining fluid is injected back into the ground, and the process starts all over again.
Earthquakes happen when there is a sudden shift along a fracture in the earth called a fault. The San Andreas Fault runs just to the east of the Salton Sea. Thousands of earthquakes are recorded here every year. Most are imperceptible to us, but there have been several major tremors in the region.
And then they show you some of the recent earthquakes as of this placard being put up. Certainly there's been more earthquakes since then. Now looking out there, we get a little better view of the Salton Sea. And we're at the south end. You can see somebody's got their camper out there. And that's the part of the Salton Sea. Looking across the body of water would remind me of the hills around Clear Lake. So we're going to walk this volcanic hill. Not much of a volcanic hill, but we're going to walk to the top and get a view up there. So we're at the halfway point on our little trail here. Gives a good view. They've got some kind of a stand out there. You see the steam coming off the plants. Back over here you get a little better view of the geothermal plants. And the rocks around here vary greatly, a lot of different ones. On the trail below we were seeing a lot of black obsidian was used for the trail going up. So I'm at the top and they've got these signs, you know, area beyond the sign is closed. And I appreciate what they're doing and protecting the environment. So you got a little rock there and probably some birds want to nest in that area. And then you see somebody's crossed the fence, more than one person crossed the fence, taking the path up there. It's unfortunate. Gives us a better view from up here. Quite a big area. Better view of the Salton Sea. Looks very vast from up here. And the information I've been reading says that the water is drying up more and more each year. And of course then the salinity level goes up. And when you think about the fact that this body of water was much, much smaller before the flood came, makes me wonder how much the salt level was then. And of course we're adding to it all the time. All the farms around us, the farmlands, and the nitrates that they're using, the fertilizers, even the sewage treatment plants that are in the area. Everything flows into this area to the Salton Sea. And it reminds me of a essay that our oldest son Andrew did, and it was about the ocean, and it was whether the ocean was a food basket or a waste basket, and he did such a good job, and he gave that an entire speech. Anyway, the reality is, a lot of times we are eating out of our own toilets. When you start thinking about it, we're getting our fish out of the Salton Sea or out of our lake where we've got our sewage seeping into it constantly. We've got our oceans that are being polluted and we're getting our fish out of there. So something to be thinking about. Something to be thinking about. I understand our needs, but in the process of supplying our needs through the environment, we need to be protecting the environment at the same time as much as we possibly can. I'm reminded of a posting that I saw on Facebook from one of my Facebook friends about all the windmill blades being discarded because they've served their life. And there's nothing you can do with it. There's no recycling to do with these windmill blades. So they're just burying these windmill blades, these composite, fiberglass, whatever they're made of. They're just burying them into the earth where they're not decomposing, they're not disintegrating. And the Facebook post basically said we could do better. And we know our need for electricity. We know our need for these type of things. So we have our geothermal plants up in Lake County. We have the world's largest geothermal plants. We have nuclear plants, which, you know, they create quite a little mess themselves, and the hazard is pretty great. But they don't use fossil fuels, so there's positives and there's negatives, and we have to weigh it out and make the best decisions we can based on the knowledge we have at the time. And of course, one of the best things we can do is get politics out of the way, get big money, you know, concerns, leverage out of the way, and actually make decisions based on what is the best for the world, best for mankind, best for the environment. Anyway, that is the bird sanctuary. We're going to walk back. We're going to go see some other things around the Salton Sea and possibly get some more views up high like this. Okay, well, thanks for watching this video.